Your FICO credit score, those 3 digits that control your financial life in America, are more powerful, more biased, and more profitable than you ever imagined. Your credit score determines whether you can buy a house, get a job, or even rent an apartment, yet most people have no idea how deeply flawed this system really is. Right now, there's a quiet crisis unfolding across America. The average credit score is dropping for the first time since 2013. It fell to 713 in 2025, a 2-point decline that signals something troubling about our economy. But that's just the tip of the iceberg. What's really shocking is how this entire system was built, who controls it, and what they're doing with that power. Let me take you back to 1841, when a company called the Mercantile Agency started collecting information about people's financial lives. They weren't just looking at money, though. They were judging your marital status, your ethnicity, your moral character. These early credit reporters functioned like financial gossips, spreading subjective opinions about who deserved trust and who didn't. Then, in 1956, 2 men changed everything. Bill Fair, an engineer, and Earl Isaac, a mathematician, founded the Fair-Isaac Corporation, FICO. They promised something revolutionary, an objective way to measure creditworthiness using statistics instead of prejudice. No more racial bias, they claimed. No more gender discrimination, just cold, hard math. In 1989, they launched the modern FICO score, that famous 300 to 850 scale we all know today. And here's the thing, that algorithm hasn't changed much since then. We're still being judged by 1989 mathematics in 2025, even as newer models like FICO Score 10T finally get approved for use. But FICO didn't just create a better mousetrap, they created a monopoly. Today, 90% of top US lenders use FICO scores. 90%. When Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac made FICO scores mandatory for mortgage applications in 1995, they essentially handed Fair-Isaac the keys to the American dream. The 2018 Credit Score Competition Act finally forced change, but it took decades to break FICO's stranglehold, and they've been cashing in ever since. FICO's net income nearly tripled from 2019 to 2024. Their stock has skyrocketed over 455% in just 5 years. Meanwhile, their CEO, William Lansing, took home a $35 million compensation package in 2024. Not bad for running a company that essentially charges people for the privilege of borrowing money. But here's where it gets really ugly. FICO has been systematically raising prices, and there's nothing anyone can do about it. Senator Josh Hawley called them out, saying, late last year it raised score prices yet again from $350 to $495 per score for mortgage originations, a more than 40% increase. Over just 2 years, FICO increased their prices by 500%. When confronted about these price hikes, CEO Lansing was remarkably candid. It's still small in the scheme of things, but for us, it was a big increase in price, in profit, revenue margin, all those things. Translation, we're gouging you because we can. This is what monopoly power looks like in action. And it's not just affecting lenders. Those costs get passed down to every American trying to get a mortgage, an auto loan, or a credit card. Lenders don't just look at your score either. They examine your debt-to-income ratio, credit utilization ratio, and payment history to determine your rates. But the pricing manipulation is just the beginning. The real dark secret of credit scores is how they perpetuate inequality in ways that would make those 1841 correspondents proud. Despite promises of objectivity, credit scores serve as a proxy for race and class. The numbers don't lie. In 2021, the median credit score for Black consumers was 639, while white consumers averaged 730, nearly 100 points higher. Latino consumers averaged 673, still significantly below the white median. This isn't coincidence. It's the inevitable. The system creates a vicious cycle. Low-income consumers are 240% more likely to start their credit profile with a debt collection or public record already on file. They're penalized before they even begin. Meanwhile, 34% of Gen Z hold student loans compared to just 17% of the general population, which helps explain why their average credit score of 676 is 39 points below the national average. And here's the kicker. Keeping your credit utilization ratio below 30% of your available credit can boost your score. But that assumes you have significant credit limits to begin with. And it gets worse. Employers are using credit scores to make hiring decisions. Think about the cruel irony. You can't get a job because of bad credit, but you can't improve your credit because you can't find work. The Department of Labor actually won a case in 2010 against Bank of America for discriminating against African Americans by using credit checks to hire entry-level employees. 11 states have now banned this practice, but in the other 39 states, your financial history can still determine whether you're worthy of employment. Then there's the error problem. Consumer Reports found that 27% of people who checked their credit reports discovered mistakes that could impact their scores. The Federal Trade Commission says 1 in 5 consumers has an error on at least one of their 3 credit reports. We're talking about millions of Americans whose financial lives are being damaged by clerical errors. And here's the kicker, it's getting worse. The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau received 1.3 million complaints about credit bureaus in 2023. By 2025, that number hit nearly 5 million. Meanwhile, the bureaus have dramatically reduced how often they resolve complaints in consumers' favor. TransUnion's relief rate declined 50% from early to late 2025. The system is breaking down, but the companies profiting from it have no incentive to fix it. And here's what makes it even more confusing. Platforms like Credit Karma show you VantageScore, not the FICO score lenders actually use. So you might think your credit is improving when lenders see something completely different. This brings us to perhaps the most disturbing aspect of all, how widely your credit information is sold. The data in your credit report gets bought and sold daily to nearly anyone who requests and pays for it. Insurance companies use it to set your rates. Landlords use it to decide if you can rent an apartment. Cell phone companies use it to determine your deposits. Your financial privacy has been commoditized, and there's essentially nothing you can do about it. You can check your actual FICO scores at myfico.com, but that still requires paying the company that's profiting from judging you. But there are signs that this monopoly might finally face some accountability. Over 10 antitrust lawsuits have been filed against FICO since 2020. In September 2023, a federal judge ruled that there was enough evidence of antitrust violations to let these cases proceed. Senator Hawley has called on the Justice Department to investigate FICO for anti-competitive practices. The writing's on the wall, but change is coming slowly. In late 2025, the mortgage industry will finally transition to newer scoring models, FICO 10T and VantageScore 4.0. These new models will consider buy now, pay later data and require only 2 credit reports instead of 3 for mortgage applications, as FHFA Director Bill Pult announced the buy merge reporting changes in July 2025. It's a small step, but it represents the first real challenge to FICO's dominance in decades. Here's what this all means for you. That 3-digit number controlling your financial life was created by a company with monopoly power, using an algorithm that hasn't significantly changed since 1989, perpetuating biases that were supposedly eliminated decades ago, while generating massive profits for shareholders at your expense. 28 million Americans are completely invisible to this system. Millions more are trapped by errors they can't easily fix. And every time you apply for credit, you're paying FICO's inflated prices whether you realize it or not. The promise was objective, mathematical fairness. The reality is a rigged game where the house always wins, and that house belongs to a company that's gotten very, very rich by controlling access to the American dream. Your credit score isn't just a number, it's a judgment, and it's time we started judging the judges.